Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of The CEO Story. And we've got an amazing one today. We have got Kiana Danial, who is the Invest Diva, as you can see from an amazing hat. And she's got quite the amazing background. We've got a lot of things that we're going to cover today, from getting fired, the adversity, to not just building a multi-7-figure business, but building an 8-figure plus business, helping tens of thousands of people along the way. So let's start by Kiana. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you doing today?
I'm great. And we can see on the background there, you've got so many amazing awards, which just is a small example of how amazing you are. We've known each other for a few years now, so firsthand know your amazingness. But can you just summarize what you're doing right now to help people? And then we'll dig into your journey and we'll work it back through.
Absolutely. So basically, we're actually reaching even further down right now. We're helping entrepreneurial moms build more wealth. And the focus is, first, we're going to teach them how to manage their money. Then we're going to teach them how to increase their income and then invest that income. And the goal is to get one of these awards, the Millionaire Diva Award, which means you have $1 million in your portfolio. Because we noticed that there are a lot of people, a lot of entrepreneurs who are making like $1 million in their business revenue, and then they were broke. And we're like, no, that's not a millionaire. We need a real millionaire, a portfolio millionaire. So that is what we're aiming. We're aiming to help moms, specifically entrepreneurial moms, to take control of their financial future and build generational wealth.
That's amazing, right? Part of what our slogan is, in terms of, it's not how much you make, it's how much you keep. Just resonates every time I hear that. So it's the real measure of wealth, right? Because I was on a call with a client, and a potential client, should I say. He makes over $25 million a year in revenue, but his take home was so small because he's just a broker between two pieces. And that's okay if you're in a volume game. You can do huge numbers, but it isn't what the huge number is at the top line. It's that bottom line, the take home after tax, that's really the key number here. So let's how did you get into that? Let's kind of rewind. Let's go back through the Japan days and all of your amazing experience internationally and nationally, and we can work up to that. So do you want to kind of give us a background and a history of what made you move to Japan in the first place? And then we can take it from there.
Yeah, totally. So I was actually born and raised in Iran to a Jewish family. So it was kind of weird. And I was like during the whole, revolution and wearing the hijab thing, and that was my life. And so, by the way, and that's why I kind of sympathize a lot with the Iranian revolution that is happening right now.
There's a lot going on right now. It's crazy.
And we're working with some organizations with like CARE and charities, and to see how we can help. But I'm very, very optimistic about. Didn't want to turn into a political thing, but that is where my passion is right now. But when I was 18, I basically got a scholarship to go and study electrical engineering in Japan. And it kind of sounded cool because they were going to pay me to study something that my parents wanted me to. Again, Middle Easterns, we always have to become either doctors, engineers, lawyers. And I'm like, all right, and it kind of sounded like a cool deal, but I didn't know how much I was going to hate it. Electrical engineering in Japanese. And I was the only girl there in my class. And it was a whole lot of depression going on over there. And I lived in Japan for 7 years, came with a broke money mindset. And
so let's start there. You got a scholarship, which is, firstly, that's amazing. But it was in Japan. Did you speak Japanese before moving to Japan to go study electrical engineering?
No, that was the brilliance. That was the whole plot of the Japanese government. They wanted to get foreigners to come learn Japanese, study a major in Japanese. Like, it's kind of, I feel like it's probably one of their things to overcome their population decrease problem. So The whole deal was like, you come to Japan, you learn Japanese culture and language and everything. But no, I didn't speak Japanese before I went there. And obviously.
And was the course in Japanese or was it in English?
So, in Japanese. So we went in, they taught us Japanese for a year.
That's pretty crazy, right? Okay.
Yeah, and I have like all of these. So the wall that I'm looking at in front of me right now has all of these Japanese degrees that I have. I have the Japanese language degree, and then the master's degree, the bachelor's in electrical engineering and master's. All of these beautifully framed degrees that I have. All of them are stating my name in Japanese, which made me no money. So yeah, talking about wasting your life away. But I got the degrees, so I guess my parents are happy. So yeah, that
was. So then you finished your degrees, you followed. So that's a really good thing, right? So one is you moved to a foreign country, not knowing the language, not really knowing the syllabus, but just doing it to please your family and take the opportunity, which is a huge step. Most people wouldn't even back themselves that much to move into a different state, let alone a foreign country and not speak the language. So that takes a lot of guts to do that.
Yeah, it wasn't easy. I mean, it sounded adventurous. So the first year, to be honest with you, the first year was fun because there was all of these other foreigners learning Japanese in Tokyo.
All together.
Oh yeah, the first year was pretty fun. And then once we got dropped into college and then we suddenly became isolated, like they spread us all over Japan. Everybody went to a different college and basically all of my classmates were Japanese.
You've got to integrate at that point, right?
Yeah. And then I was like, ooh, so I was the only Japanese, the only non-Japanese and the only girl in the class.
Yeah, because that was another thing. Most electrical engineering is male dominated, right? The whole industry.
Well, in the Western society, mind you that. So it's funny because in Iran, as backwards as it is, electrical engineering is kind of like marketing. Like if you go to college,
oh, really? Okay.
Oh yeah, half of the universities, like STEM universities, are girls. Like there is no boys versus girls thing in Iran. So that was a major shock. So to be not just a foreigner, but also the only girl in the class. And then, the engineering dudes, then I'm like, it was like, you would think I would get hit on or have a fun, but no. They were like scared of me. And we had the whole situation.
I would think that every day. Yes, absolutely. Because you're the exotic female. One, you're exotic because you're different, and two, you're a female. So it's like, oh, holy shit, it's 2 for 2 here.
Happening? Like nobody's like ever like this. Yeah, this thing. Alien.
But the Japanese culture is very different in that respect, right? It's very respectful, and it's like very straight laced compared to many other places in the world.
Very, very different culture. So it was definitely a learning progress. And you know what? I mean, I stayed there and I embraced the culture. At some point, I kind of felt like I was just Japanese. And, I speak Japanese, when I speak Japanese, I spoke it well. I learned to speak it well. And because I have brown eyes and hair and stuff, I would towards the end, people would think I'm half Japanese. So yeah, I embraced the culture. So it's bittersweet. Amazing. Kind of. Yeah.
Yes, it's great. Like for the people listening, just to embrace that, hey, you can go and succeed by going to a foreign place, not knowing the language, and still come out with the intention of what you went there for, right? You got your degree, you got your language, and now you moved on to other things. So then you came back. So can kind of take us from that next step of the journey, going from Japan and getting to America.
Yeah. So that was another big thing because so this is CEO story. So I'm going to tell this. So coming to America for me was hard because I couldn't get a green card, Iranian, the whole visa thing was an issue. But when I finally was able to come to America, and I was just learning about money and finances, and it was 2008 when the markets crashed, and was learning what's happening with the markets and what is a market crash and what is like, I didn't know any of these things. So I was very curious about that. And so the reason why I moved to America is because I got my first job in Japan. On the job, they were able to get me a visa to come to New York for business. And I came to New York, fell in love with it. And I was already very, very, very interested in the whole finance world thing. So I quit my job in Japan and I came to America to go into Wall Street because I was like, oh, this is what happened. This is what really happened. I accidentally made $10,000 in the market crash. Completely accidental. Like I cannot take any credit.
What was the stock?
It wasn't a stock. It was the dollar yen pair. It was the US dollar versus the Japanese yen. And that I understood back then, because, when you go back and forth, when you're in the foreign country, you always understand what the exchange rate is. And I was like, oh my gosh, the US dollar is dropping and the Japanese yen is going high. And I'm like, what if I can buy? Anyways, now I know what I did. I didn't even know what I did. I shorted the dollar yen pair on a 14-time leverage and I made $10,000 in a month. And I'm like, whoa, this is way better than my job.
Yeah. So that's a really good story because, a lot of people end up doing what they're doing by sheer fluke, right? Or coincidence or by accident or mistake. And I'm no different there in terms of creating structures for high net worth individuals. I didn't think, I want to do that when I grow up. My background is similar. It's all in accounting and finance. And we had a great success with a client. And then that created a tax issue. I wasn't the tax expert at that time, but then I learned a new skill set because I saw that opportunity and then doubled down on it. So kind of take us through that opportunity and then kind of how you double down on your experience of making $10,000 by not doing a whole lot.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I love the term that you just used, skill set, like taking the opportunity and then learning a new skill set, because that's where it's at, right? So I always joke that, my electrical engineering degree didn't make me a penny. But what you pointed out is that, yes, I stuck with it, even though it was hard. And
it's the discipline, right? It's like having that mindset and discipline and focus to finish what you started. And my parents used to grill me on this all the time. I didn't quite get it when I was younger, but they said it's easy to start things. It's not easy to finish. And it's like, as I get older and more mature, it's like, okay, that actually did make a lot of sense what they were saying. But I was just a young kid at the time and, you don't really listen very much, right?
That's so funny because in Farsi, my parents always used to tell me this thing too, is like the one who finishes the job is the one who actually, did the job, like the owner of that. I don't know how to translate it, but that is very, very similar. And it's interesting because like starting isn't easy either, but finishing is harder and sticking with it, especially through the challenges. So, and that's what happened when I came to America. I got a job on Wall Street, which was pretty cool. And I was feeling, oh my gosh, this is it. I'm a Wall Streeter. And I was living on the
so cool
side.
Now.
It's cool. I was like Sex and the City, friends, I was like New York. I had watched all these sitcoms about New York and I was living it. It was
Carrie
awesome.
Bradshaw's best friend and you're going to go on shoe dates and all the rest of this fancy stuff. But then what was the reality?
Oh, the reality is I got fired and then my boyfriend dumped me and I didn't have a place to live.
Oh my goodness. Okay. That's a lot going on right there. So why did you get fired?
I have no idea. I mean, there are a lot of, I guess I just wasn't a good employee. I thought I was delivering results, but I was being a Gen Z. Now that I look back, I went to a corporate Wall Street job and I thought the America I knew was what I had seen in movies that people are very bold and they go to the CEO's office and, so I'm like this kid, I just came to America and I got this junior job on Wall Street. And I'm like, all right, so my boss is here. And literally the second day, I think I'm like, all right, I'm going to go to the CFO's office. I went to the CFO's office. I'm like, yes, I'm here. I really have big aspirations. Looking back, I don't think that looked good in corporate America. It's like I went around my boss talking to the CFO. So I think that I was there for a year and I was delivering. I was actually doing very well, and it was, again, I was one of the only females, obviously, the whole thing. And then this woman daring to wanting to have aspirations. A lot of things I would never know, but I got fired. And it's the best thing that happened to me because that kind of, when you get fired, especially if you were passionate about your job, it was like a slap on the face. I'm like, all right, and then you get angry, you go through the whole phases of, sadness,
It's happened
anger.
to a lot of us. And I had a very similar thing with the company I used to work for called FlowServe. We did pump seals and valves. I did 8 years with them. I did 4 years in Europe first, worked my way up the ranks, transferred to America, got my green card. So that was all really simple. But the cultural difference, even within the same company from the UK and Europe to America, was just night and day difference. And it was horrible. It was like exactly everything you see on the movies and Shark Tank, and the bosses trying to get one over on each other and not working together for the company, but just trying to score points and perception over results. And it just did not resonate with me at all. But I was tied in because I couldn't leave because of my visa issue and all the rest of that stuff. So it was hard until I got my green card, and that allowed me to quit, leave, start my own job. So let's go back to your story then, in terms of you got fired, you're upset, we go through all these emotions and anger and finger pointing and blame, and then a lot was going on in your personal life too. So how are you feeling at that point?
Oh, I felt it was rock bottom. It was rock bottom for sure. And I was like, then my family is like, what's happening? Like your, disappointment to the family and all the things going on. And I ran out of money to pay rent. So I feel like I'm now looking back, I'm like, that was a blessing, like for real. I know you can like talk about it as a cliche, but it definitely was, because I would have never had the guts of quitting. Because again, I always want to finish. If I hadn't gotten fired, I wouldn't have had the guts to start my own business, to prove my boss wrong. Because all I wanted to be at that corporate was I wanted to become a financial analyst. And they had decided, and they actually showed me the email. They said, Kiana is not an analyst and she never will be. And then I got fired. And I'm like, So
prove them wrong, right?
Funny story. Let me tell you then what happened a year after. So I got angry, all the things. Year into it, I built myself back up, got like self-trained in all of these things, published my first book. And the next year, I think it was a year and a half later that I got invited to speak at a financial event that my former company was basically, they were advertising. They were one of the exhibitors there. And my boss was there. And I'm like, so I was a speaker as an analyst, as a financial analyst. I'm like, yeah, do you remember telling Kiana's ever going to become an analyst? And it's like, yeah, you sure proved me wrong. So happy ending.
Fantastic. We always love a happy ending, but I think there's a lot to unwind there. And a lot of it is adversity. You found the job, you got the job, you did it. You had a lot of guts and bravado, maybe too much. Maybe the cultural fit wasn't there. I've been through all of that myself, so I know it firsthand. But the good thing was you bounced back and proved them wrong, right? You had this chip on your shoulder and a point to prove, and you didn't give up until you got there. So you became an author, a speaker, a best-selling award winner in multiple different facets, and then you were able to tell the boss, well, looks like you were wrong. So the underlying message is, just because one or two people's opinion of you is that, does not make it true. You can do whatever you want to do, right? You just got to put your mind to it and focus on it. And what are you willing to sacrifice to get it done? I don't think enough people understand that there's whatever you do in life, you always have to sacrifice doing something in order to get that done. So when you then started kicking on in the analyst world, how did the Investment Diva come around from that point?
So Invest Diva, although we do have investmentdiva.com as well, but Invest Diva. So there were a multitude of things. So when I got fired, obviously I was like still searching for jobs, but I did see while I was on Wall Street how male dominated this is, how, the company that I worked with really didn't have the best interests of their clients in heart when they were creating all of these assets, financial instruments. And so I saw that, and I was on the other side of it before. I was like working for the company, but now I knew what really was happening to the customer base. And obviously getting fired, I kind of wanted to, expose them as well. And it was a very interesting trigger to wanting to go on my own and expose the Wall Street and then bring more women in. And then at some point, so when I got started, I actually then got job offers from 3 Japanese banks that then I had to really make a decision. Okay, do I want to go on my own or do I want to really get
and that's the really hard part that most people get confused with, because when you don't have a clear path, anything works, right? But now you've got a real big decision, whether it's, do I back myself and my gut feeling and my instinct and everything I've learned and developed? Or do I go back into the 9-to-5 cushy life, get a nice paycheck and live in this comfortable little box and not break out of it? I think that's one of the biggest struggles that most people deal with.
That was so hard. And kudos to my headhunter. So I remember having this conversation with him in New York in the restaurant. I was like, so he found me the jobs and I got them. I got the jobs, the dream jobs, Japanese bank. I speak Japanese. I was very, very well positioned for those jobs. But I also had started my own business, and he could see the passion, and kudos to him, because he said, Kiana, I see the passion that you have here. And I would recommend, even though he wouldn't get paid, he said, I think that you need to continue on your own. And it was very hard because obviously my family, they didn't understand anything about entrepreneurship. Their version of the world was go to college, get a job, live the American dream or whatever. It's like, that was a life. So when I said I'm going to become an entrepreneur, let alone my entrepreneurship path was, because I wanted to help women, I was dancing on YouTube talking about finance when it wasn't cool. This is before TikTok. And my family was just like,
no wonder you got such good dance moves, right? You've been doing it for a lot of years now.
But they were like, okay, you're going crazy. You're like bringing shame to family. Like, you're this good Persian Jewish girl who's supposed to be like in her lane and go get married. And yet you're dancing on TikTok like my finance. Who's ever going to take you seriously? So I was having all of these backlash from family. But to that point, I mean, again, if you are a CEO, if you have a business, if you have an aspiration to become a CEO, like, people are going to talk. And you said this before, Casey, too, is like people's opinion. People are going to have their own opinion. Maybe they want the best for you. They just don't know any better. But what I would like to say, anyone who's having any hesitation in moving forward with what their actual true passion is that makes them happy, and their fear is like disappointing people, disappointing their current clients. Like, I talk with a lot of like doctors or lawyers or private practice people who are burnt out. They don't want to do it anymore. They're like, I just want to break free, but I don't want to disappoint my employees. I don't want to disappoint my clients. And I'm like, are you showing up at as the best version of yourself, being burnt out and like, just like, they deserve better and you deserve better. Like, go do your own thing.
And quite honestly, you owe that to yourself and to your family, right? If you're not being true to yourself and there's more in there and you're just grinding out the mundane, boring 9-to-5, just for the sake of pleasing or appeasing people that may and may not even matter, just to be one of the Joneses, that's not really a good enough reason. Like, you're doing a disservice to yourself and the people that you love by not showing up and fulfilling your potential, whatever that is, right? Whatever that is.
Amen. No, absolutely. So, I mean, it's interesting because now, so my husband was a corporate job. So move forward, past forward. Yes, I did get married. He's an engineer, big shock. And he was very successful in his career. He thought my business was a joke for quite a long time. And even though I was like making kind of money, but it was like, no, to him, again, it was like corporate job. And now when he saw that I'm now making more in a month than he makes in a year, even though he's he's a chief data analytic officer for like the biggest corporation in the US. And still now I make more in a month than he makes in a year. So he's now retiring. And finally he's like, oh, freedom, no more corporate politics.
You married the right girl, right? You did
like,
good.
What did you do to me? I'm now getting excited about having a YouTube channel. I'm like, yeah, that's where the money's at.
It really is. But I think it's more about value, right? The more value you add, the more you return it. So exactly the same as my wife and I in our story is that I make more in 1 hour phone call than she does in the entire year. And not that she poo-poos or like laughs at what I do, but it's the same principle of the employee mindset versus the entrepreneur mindset. And it's like, babe, the risk reward here is really high also, because with that level of risk you're taking, if I can't convert that person, or if I can't make that return on that portfolio investment, then I'm not the one that's going to make any money at all. So the risk and reward is directly related. And some people are just not wired that way. And that's okay. It's, there's no perfect scenario here. Everyone is individual and beautiful exactly the way they are. But are you doing a disservice to yourself? Do you have more in your tank that you want to give and want to achieve? And if so, it just may not be where you are wanting to get, but you've got to have the mindset shift first, and then it'll catch up, right? That's at least my experience in life.
Beautifully said. And you're absolutely right, because some people, they want to actually, let's say, attach to a movement, to a company that moves them, as long as you're happy. Like, that's the thing. Like, I obviously have people who work for me now, and I'm hoping they're happy. We always have discussions, and I want them to be here because they enjoy being a part of the movement, a part of the culture, but not just because it's a job that's paying their bills, because otherwise they're not going to show up as the person that we want them. So it really goes back, again, like to your values, to what you want to get out of your life, and also your drive.
It's so funny because when I started my entrepreneurial journey back in 2016, I didn't really put much emphasis and focus on creating culture within an organization, because I was just the organization. It was just me, right? And now we have a huge team, and it's like I spend more of my time thinking about how can I create a culture that people will thrive in? How do we set them up for success, not just now, but on like a 5-year plan as well, because we don't want to train them up just to lose them either, right? So I focus so much more of my thinking on management of the team and making an environment and a culture, really creating a culture is what I'm saying. And it's strange how we all change as our businesses grow too, right? And as we evolve as people. How have you, because you've done the same, you went from just being you to then helping other moms make money while at home around their kids, to now helping a wider range of people and very successful at it. So an author, a professor, like the list just keeps going on. How do you deal with that change and who you were right at the beginning of starting your business and helping the first few clients to now where you're impacting thousands of people per webinar that you're on? And like, these are not just an hour or two webinars. Some of your stuff goes for 4 or 5 days. So it's like you're packing so much value into that period of time for this huge audience. How's that changed, like, from beginning to where you are now?
Oh, wow. Huge, huge, huge. Because obviously, as I said, when I first got started, all I wanted to do, yes, I wanted to make an impact, but what I really wanted to do was to make a few bucks to pay my rent. Like, that was the motivator. Like, let's be honest. I just wanted to make some money. And then I kind of got into it, and I became passionate about the people I wanted to serve. And that allowed me to scale. But at every stage, I had to reinvent myself, become a completely different person. And it's interesting because, yes, just like you, I was a solopreneur up until I made my first million. And I didn't have to worry about anybody. And I remember at the very beginning days that I wasn't I didn't have any business. I was just like doing stuff, and I was just like writing books and getting some speaking gigs and stuff. And then I was talking to someone, a mentor of mine, and I was like complaining that I'm not making any money yet. And it's like, well, just you wait, because then as you grow, you're going to be worried about your employees and paying them. And I was like, what? I'm going to pay somebody else. Like, it was so foreign to me. I couldn't even fathom that. What? I'm going to be responsible for somebody else? I can't even take care of myself. But it was always the back of my mind, at the back of my brain, that, wow, someday I'm going to be responsible for other people. And that day has come now. And it has, oh my gosh, like now, obviously the trainings, the skill set that I'm trying to acquire is completely different. Before, it was more about, okay, learning how to market, learning how to customer service, like those kind of skill sets. But now I'm doing a lot of management. Like, how do I create that culture? How do I keep everybody at the same alignment, where we're going, the direction, the values. And it's been just, it's a different game. And I never even considered myself as a leader. And now I actually have people who look up to me for leadership. And oh my gosh, I'm a different person than that little girl who started the business back in the day. Whoa.
That's the real journey, right? Is that the person that you start out being, you are on a never-ending journey and a learning experience. And with every experience, you learn and you grow, and hopefully you get better and you learn from it so you can make better decisions and impact more people. And that happens at all stages, whether that's someone who's an employee of a company that wants to do a side hustle, or whether it's a full-time mom, work at home, trying to figure out what the next $100 is coming from, right? We're all on our own paths, and it's down to us to be true to what we really want and not just living in our comfort zone. I have so many clients that are potential clients that look at what we do and they're like, no, I just want to stay with my current CPA because I've known him for 20 plus years, or he's Uncle Jim's brother and I don't want to ruin the relationship. I'm like, that's perfectly fine. You are well within your right to do that. Just know it's costing you a couple $100,000 a year just for that. If you're all right with that. Yeah, exactly. So it's like, we just are programmed in our own certain ways, and we need to get out of our own way a lot of the time. So that's what I've found as my journey's kind of evolved as well. Let's dig into really the crux of what you do, because you add so much value to so many people. And this is all self-taught as well. This is not some Harvard MBA that's been spoon-fed the best of the best. This is learning from Wall Street the hard way, figuring it out. But then more importantly, being able to articulate that in a really simple way that most people can digest the information and take action on it. So Tony Robbins, I'm a huge Tony fan, and he says it's the application of knowledge that gives you the power. It's not just knowing the knowledge. So you could read all the charts, look at all the stocks and trends, and know that, oh, that's a good time to buy this stock or do this FX swap or short this. But it's actually taking the action, right? Because without that action, you're not going to get an outcome, right? You are. The outcome is just not going to change. And that, for me, is a negative outcome. But why don't you dig into that a little bit more on how you actually go about helping people and moms and single moms and, everyone in between now, but you started off specifically in the female mom niche because that's exactly what you are, right? You're a mother, you're a wife, and everything in between, and super mom at that. You're doing a million different things and juggling all these balls. And I think that's a really good example to show people that you can do a lot of things. People get flustered. I don't have time for this or that, but you are a prime example to me, at least, of someone that can multitask really efficiently and make a lot of money at the same time. This is not just hyperbole. This is like reality. So how do you do it? How is the secrets?
So to be honest with you, I don't multitask. Actually, in fact, when I was multitasking, I was not seeing results. And let me also clarify one thing. Even though I started out, in Forex and shorting and day trading and things, that is not what I do anymore. And that is not what I teach. This is what I teach. And this is what I do. So now I have a $7 million portfolio. And the way I got there is long-term value investing and swing trading, meaning I do not day trade. I only allocate an hour per month to my portfolio manager. And I'm managing a $7 million portfolio, including stocks and cryptocurrencies. And
let's just start with, what's the difference between swing trading and day trading?
Day trading is way more high risk. Day trading is when you get in and out of a position within a day. Day traders typically are those bros on Wall Street. If you're not, so day trading works if you are a bro on Wall Street and you're gambling basically with other people's money, which is what they do. And because emotions are not attached to it, they can do it, also meaning that they are stuck to their screen all day. And it is gambling. Swing trading, it can be different meaning. It can have different meanings. The way we do it, first of all, for tax purposes, you do not want to sell an asset within a year, because otherwise you're going to have to pay more taxes on that capital gain. So
unless you have one of my trusts, then you're fine. But yes,
unless you have a trust, 100%. But for most people who don't qualify for that, because obviously to have a trust, you want to have $1 million or so or more income. And that's the reason why we now have this other services to help people to get to that income level.
Yeah.
But for people who are just a 9-to-5er, a doctor, whoever who's earning below $1 million and he doesn't qualify for your trust system, which is fabulous, by the way, everybody needs to have it. If you're above $1 million, and have the trust. Like, what are you doing? Why are you leaving money on the Don't do that. You. But if you're below that, you don't want to sell, right? Within a year. And it also, not just for tax purposes, it is more high risk, because there's a lot that can happen in short term, whereas long term, we see it over and over and over again, no matter what happens, no matter UFOs, pandemics, whatever that happens in the market, in the long term, the markets go up. So after losing a lot of money day trading, I was like, you know what, I've had enough. I was profitable for a good 5 years. And then I lost everything in one bad bet. And I'm like, this is not worth it. My stress.
That's so painful. 5 years of work gone.
And then I'm a mom, like I can't deal with this crap. So it was like, okay, I'm done. I'm becoming a value investor. But so we do it smartly. So what we do is there are different ways to value invest. You can go and buy just like index funds. I don't like index funds because it's way too impersonal. First of all, you don't know exactly who you're investing in. You're just going in with one basket. Investing in index funds is better than not investing it at all, but you're leaving money on the table. What I like to do is to select my assets, select the companies that actually are aligned with my moral values. And then we do something called dollar cost averaging, but do it smartly. Because again, dollar cost averaging, most people, what they do is they just go and buy every month at the same day of the month. But that's not smart, because there are psychological levels that the price can drop to that you can wait. You can wait and accumulate some money and then go and buy, have multiple entry orders at key psychological levels that kind of stacks your odds on to your favor. And then we go and sell again. Maybe again, if you have a trust, I don't even time it. I don't time the market. I price the market. So I go by this 50-50 rule, meaning that I never go all in, all out. I would set 3 entry orders, buy limit orders, we call them, let's say for my favorite asset that I want to keep in my portfolio for at least 5 years. And the buy limit orders go through. And then after 50% increase, I start selling a portion, half of that, what I had accumulated,
just to thresholds, right?
Just mitigate risk. And this rule can be different for everybody. So that is what we teach. We teach risk management. Really, that's what we do. Okay, everybody is different. You have a different risk tolerance, different financial goals, different age, different all these things. And your investment strategy is not going to be like mine. So instead of listening to Twitter or Elon Musk or whoever is just saying something.
Or even worse, some dude on TikTok who doesn't have a clue what he's talking about, right? That's the latest.
I'm on TikTok though. I am on TikTok.
Not your TikTok.
My TikTok is good. But no, for real. I teach people how to think about investing and then do it on their own, instead of people are saying, okay, what is your best stock? Give us a stock of us. My stock is not going to be suitable for you, because at the end of the day, investing is an emotional game, is a psychology game. And for that reason alone, you need to create an investment strategy that's suitable to you. And we don't want to hand out our money to a money manager because they may or may not have our best interest. You want to be in control. It's driving your own car versus taking a bus. So that's what we teach. We teach you how to become.
It's really smart. I really like that, because the philosophy isn't just, hey, this is a signal, look at this, do this. It's really empowering people to fish for themselves rather than just giving them a fish, because then they can impact the people around them as well. They can teach their kids those same principles. Hey, I wear a lot of Apple. I have a lot of Apple, iPad, phone, wallet, you name it, right? It probably makes sense for me to own some Apple stock because my alignment and my core beliefs are in line with that company. I hate Verizon. The signal's terrible. I wouldn't buy Verizon stock, right? So just aligning up with who you are and then researching that as well, because I like that as well. Yeah, dollar cost average is really safe, but it can be done smartly. Yes. Picking a full S&P 500 ETF versus an individual stock could be a lot safer. But if you've done your work, if you've thought through the process, if you have a framework and a methodology that you're using, you could then use that for generations, right? Because that ethos stays with you rather than changing every 2 minutes like the wind.
Oh, yeah. And talk about the joy. I mean, you nailed it on the head, because this is how you get your kids to be interested. Because now my nephews are 10 and 11, and they talk about stocks to me because they have, companies that are interested in that, playing video games. And then we talk about it. They're into Apple. My other nephew's into Android. And of course, you want to vote with your wallet for the companies that actually support. And that is going to increase your risk tolerance if you really are confident in a company. And that is the only way they're not going to panic sell when there is a recession coming in. Because majority of people, they get wiped out because they panic sell when the markets go against them. But if you're investing in something that you truly believe in and it goes with your values, who this company is, you're a customer of them, you're okay, no matter what recession, I'm getting my iPhone next year. You better be owning that stock, right, in your portfolio. So
absolutely,
that's exactly what we teach.
A great example of that. Let's just use Tesla right now. Tesla dropped over 50% value in 2022. And already by February 2023, it's increased on that spot by 35%. So it's very crazy. But if you believe in Elon, you believe in Tesla, you wouldn't have sold on that down, right? You'd hold it and it's going to come back because you've done your research. And I personally wouldn't bet against Elon Musk. The guy's an alien. He can't be from this planet. He's just too smart, right?
Well, it's interesting to say that because funny enough, because we've always been Tesla family. We had 2 Teslas, multiple. Even my daughter, 5-year-old, has a mini Tesla. Big fans. And then, so hear me out. Okay. I'm trying to order my new Tesla and the customer service sucks. And the funny thing is I actually bought when Tesla dropped. Disclaimer here, I bought on the bottom. We priced the market amazingly and we went in and we bought a bunch of Tesla. And customer service is sucking so bad that we're considering buying our next car being a BMW, the EV version, just for the customer service alone, kind of teaching them a lesson.
Funny you should say that, because we've had a similar experience. My wife and I, we got a Model X for her, and it's been cool. It's a really fun car. It's fast. It's as fast as my Ferrari, and it's holy smokes, this thing goes, right? But the customer service sucks. It is starting to wear down a little bit more than it should for a car that young. And the next one that we're looking at a Bentley SUV, but it's not Tesla. It's we bought the technology car, and I wouldn't buy Tesla thinking it was a luxury car, because it definitely is not. It is a technology car. Yeah. So I like luxury more, I collect cars, so I like that side of things, but the tech car is cool, but we're going back. I think we're going back to
so how do you apply that to investment strategy? Is that, all right, I'm holding Tesla for now, but I may be selling it in the next bull run and set that settlement order and then go and buy something else in return.
But just because I am, just using this example on Tesla, just because we had that experience and now we're changing back, I still think it adds so much value to so many people because of the price point of the Y and the 3. Whereas before, you got to spend 120 grand plus to get a Model X or a Model S, right? Now you can get in for 30, 40K, maybe 50 if you put some add-ons in on the lowest end. So that then becomes a hell of a lot of car for a very small price. So the value's there. And then as they keep creating more cars, whether it's the Cybertruck, the semi-truck, I think the company valuation is going to go up personally. But yeah, this customer service sucks, and it's too automated in that regard, right? I didn't speak to anyone when we bought our car. I literally did it online. It was COVID at the time. So I went to the dealership to pick it up, or the depot, had a Zoom call with the guy, just validate my ID. And then I walked straight through and the car was there. I was like,
oh, that's good. No, we didn't get that lucky. We had to wait like for 2 hours. But look at this discussion. We are having different opinions about a company. And guess how we should be investing? Do you think our investment strategy on Tesla alone is going to be the same? No. And that's what matters. Like, again, I'm not here to tell you you're wrong. You're not here to tell me I'm wrong. We're exchanging opinions, right? Yep. And this is going to reflect in our investment strategy, because I'm going to go and I'm going to create my investment strategy based on my belief. And I'm going to feel damn good about it. So we teach basically, so like going back to what we teach, how to feel damn confident about your decision, so that even if it goes against you or whatever happens, you're like, I made that decision with confidence. So you're going to make that decision with confidence.
It's really good as well, because it is who you are as a person. And, you know, I do a lot of training with Rene Rodriguez, and he talks about what are your core values and beliefs and how do you wind that into your day-to-day living. And this is exactly the same, but from an investment standpoint, is who are you as a person? What do you believe in from a company perspective that you actually use and like? And then how are you going to fit that around your investment hypothesis, whether it's buy in trenches on 50-50-50, an exit of 50-50-50, or whatever that swing trade looks like, day trade, or anything above and beyond, right? There's so much complexity. So I love the way you compartmentalize it and make it simple, yet unique to every single person, and something that they can then teach to their loved ones as well. There's so much value going on there that it makes me smile.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly how it should be, because it's personal. It's your personal finances. So
fantastic. So as we look to wrap up, can you share with people how they can reach out to you, your social media stuff and all the rest of that? And we'll leave all the links for that below. Absolutely.
First of all, please don't fall for my impersonator. There are 1,000 of my impersonators on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and they're asking for Bitcoin and crypto. Please, my only social media handles have a verified blue check mark. I am at Invest Diva on Instagram, at Kiana Danial everywhere else. And we respond to DMs, but where you really want to go is our most popular masterclass. Like, I teach all of this in that 90-minute webinar. We go to investdiva.com/masterclass. It's investdiva.com/masterclass. And I basically I laid all of this that we just talked about in a lot more detail about what I talk about, with risk management. You also are going to get my risk management toolkit to just go and do it on your own. So that's a place to go to get started.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And again, all the details are going to be down below. So click that button and go join the next masterclass.
Thank you so much.